Hello once again, Niner Faithful, and welcome back to another episode of 49ers Playbook on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game. As promised from the result of the Twitter poll this week, I've broken up the review video into two parts. Part 1 was the offense, and I'll have a link to that video in the description. But Part 2, we're covering the defense, or more accurately, the lack of defense. San Francisco has boasted the league's best defense in nearly every category this season, with a notable outlier in Week 7 against the Chiefs. Yet this past Sunday, facing Jarrett Stidham, who'd been a career backup until this game, they gave up over 500 yards of offense and 34 points, including surrendering a 7-point lead in the final minutes of the game. They were, however, able to create a massive turnover in overtime to get the win. But the let-up of the defensive performance was quite disappointing. It was definitely not how the team wanted to start out the new year in 2023. We all want 2023 to be a success, and for you, that starts with making sure that you're not disappointed in all your male grooming habits. This channel is sponsored by Manscaped, and you can head over to manscaped.com right now and use promo code JD49 to get 20% off and free shipping. Did you know that Manscaped provides more than their legendary trimmers? Check out the Ultra Premium Collection. I love these products, including the scented body wash infused with aloe and sea salt to both exfoliate and hydrate. It's dye-free, gluten-free, paraben-free, dermatologist-tested, and vegan. And you can get it and the premium shampoo and conditioner in the Ultra Premium Collection that also comes with the Ultra Premium deodorant and lip balm. The body wash also pairs perfectly with the Body Buffer, a 100% silicone body scrubber. It's time to ditch the loofah. We all know you hate using it, or that nasty washcloth, and take care of your body the right way. You can find all this and more at manscaped.com, and make sure to use promo code JD49 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's manscaped.com and promo code JD49. You're watching Johnny Dell's Football Academy. Right from the opening drive, the defense was showing problems. So much so, we'll cover every play of the opening drive because each one was a chunk play for Las Vegas. The Raiders come out in 21 personnel with 2 backs and 1 tight end. They're in an offset I formation, which an I formation is the running back and fullback aligned behind the quarterback. Offset being that the fullback is moved over the tackle. This presents a possible 4x1 threat to the strong side, so we're going to be in a cover 3 Mabel, which Mabel is an M word for man on the split end or X receiver. So Mooney Ward is manned up with Devontae Adams, and then Hufanga will match the running back if he leaks out. So Hufanga is going to go ahead and come off the edge on a blitz, but will peel off and cover the running back if he goes to the flat. A nice little wrinkle from this coverage that Ryans has added to let Hufanga be Hufanga. The other side will be a matching 3 zone. The Raiders are going to come with a weak side power run fake where they'll pull a guard to sell the run fake, and then it'll look a lot like our slide concept where they'll run 3 routes back across from the run fake. It's a nice design as at the snap, Greenlaw sees the guard pull and the fullback come across, reads run, and attacks hard. They then slip the tight end out in the flat where Greenlaw is supposed to be covering, and the tight end is wide open for a big gain on the opening play. The next play, it looks like we do a good job, but the Raiders still get 4 yards on the run, and it shows signs of what's to come. What showed up a lot on film was the underperformance of the defensive line. Here, the Raiders are going to be running a wide zone, something we've all seen a ton from our own team, and the key are the reach blocks from the tackle and center on Armstead and Kinlaw that will allow the guards to get up on the second level. At the snap, both Armstead and Kinlaw get scooped and allow the guards to get up on Greenlaw and Warner. We've been really good at defending runs like this up to this point in the season, but here we do a poor job. It's only Greenlaw's speed to get in and fill the hole that plugs up the play from being an even bigger gain. What you need to see is Armstead and Kinlaw occupying the guards to force a double team. Keep Greenlaw and Warner free to go make tackles. Then they get a first down off a screen. Again, going after Armstead and Kinlaw. Neither guy reads the screen well, and even with Hufanga reading it, they get 3 blockers out. They pick up Hufanga, and Greenlaw is in a 2-on-1 situation. Kudos to Armstead for a hustle play, but they gotta read the screen better. The only decent stop was on this draw play for a 3-yard gain, but notice we pulled Kinlaw out after the previous 2 plays. So the next play is a microcosm of much of the game: poor, undisciplined play. We're in our palms coverage that you're familiar with if you've watched the channel, which is a defense that can be either quarters coverage or a 2-zone depending on the release of the receivers. It's also a matching defense. The Raiders are running a curl flat to the 3 receiver side with a seam route. There's a breakdown here between Gibson and Warner on who is supposed to match the seam route. Warner will match the number 3 and Gibson will match the number 2. With the running back headed to the flat, Gibson sees him as the new number 1, so he matches the new number 2. Warner doesn't read the running back out into the flat, and so he considers the seam route the number 2 and lets it go, thinking Gibson has it. Fortunately, Stidham never sees it, but we still have a breakdown in the pass rush. From the end zone, we're trying to use McGill in the plug or roll, which is he is supposed to cross the face of the guard and try and occupy the guard and center to give Ebukam, Armstead, and Bosa one-on-ones. But as McGill crosses the guard, they slide away and he continues on his track, and the guard does a good job of moving him out of the rush lane. He needs to stay disciplined in his rush, take a couple steps in. If the double isn't there to be drawn, peel back and maintain your rush lane. Instead, Stidham gets a huge lane to run through and is a mobile guy. Now the opening score. This one is going to blow some minds because everyone assumes Hufanga gave up the opening touchdown, but he didn't. Why? Let's take a look. So it's 3rd and short, and the Raiders have brought in an extra lineman as a tight end. In response, we bring in a 5th defensive lineman. This puts us in man coverage across the board with a single safety, Gibson, who's shaded to Devontae Adams. This means Diamador Lenore has Darren Waller, and Hufanga has the 2nd tight end, Foster Moreau. The Raiders are going to fake a dive, keep Moreau into block, and run Waller out on a corner route. They'll release Adams late, but this is essentially a one-man route. At the snap, you see Hufanga isn't biting super hard on the play fake. He's watching Moreau, his man, and Lenore is biting hard off the edge. Hufanga bails to try and cover Waller only when he sees him running free with Lenore biting on the run fake. When Lenore realizes it's not a run, you can see he turns and frantically tries to locate Waller, who's already deep down the field, and gets in for a score. Hufanga gets the blame, but this one is on Demo. So the opening play of the next drive I won't dive too much into, but they get too much push. Jacobs runs through Warner's arm tackle and gains 9 yards. The reason I mention this is because the next first down, it impacts the play. So some of this is good play design from McDaniels. They're going to fake a run and reverse. We're in our palms coverage, and this is where it's good play design. The late reverse action will change the numbering of the receivers. Where to Gibson's side you'd have the 1, 2, and 3, and Hufanga's you have the 1 and 2. Now this changes the strength of the formation so that the number 3 will be to Hufanga's side. I'll explain what that means in a second. So they're coming with this run fake and then running a speedo concept, which is a deep clearing route paired with a deep over route. In our palms coverage, if Gibson isn't threatened by the number 2 receiver deep, he needs to clue in on the number 3 receiver from the opposite side. All the motion and misdirection confuses that, and Gibson locks in onto the threat of the number 1 receiver running a post and bails to double. If the 2 receiver side was to Hufanga, he's responsible for matching the number 2 across the field on a deep route. But with the reverse action, it's not the number 2, it's the number 3, so Hufanga doesn't pick up the crosser. Gibson is supposed to be on alert to pick up that route. Instead, he's bailed out and the Raiders get a huge gain on the play. Then they get another chunk play on the ground. Here it's just the wide zone again, and you see again our interior defensive line doesn't draw the double team like they're supposed to. They get up on the second level and get a big run. This was a theme throughout much of the first half. It's something I do believe they'll fix, because generally this is an area we've been really good at this year, but was definitely an issue and it led to a lot of other problems. If you allow runs like this, it makes playing defense much harder. Like this next play. We're slanting the line and they're running a toss, and they get 2 linemen up on the linebackers. Demo had a pretty rough game. Now Jacobs is a heck of a back, but he has him dead to rights here and misses the tackle, and they get a first down. And then some of this was just really good individual play from the Raiders. Here we're in cover 3 zone and they're going to run Waller down the seam with an out and up. With Adams being split so far wide and being Devontae Adams, we're going to shade Gibson to that side, so that puts Demo in a really tough spot. He has to play his deep third but also cover the outside of the seam route with no real safety help down the middle, and Waller has speed. In the end, that's a really nice catch by Waller, but this is being put in a bind having to bring Hufanga down in the box against a heavy set and not being able to stop the run. Then we have more breakdowns in the rush lanes. Here we bring a blitz and Drake Jackson gets mauled down the line, and it leaves a gaping hole for Stidham to take off for a huge gain. It wasn't all bad though, as we do get a huge stop on 4th and 1. Watch Armstead shed his man, then take on the fullback and get in on the tackle. Also, McGill knifes through and is able to get to Jacobs' legs to keep him from pushing the pile. But the breakdowns were in quite a number of places. Here, and again, this is really nice design by McDaniels, they're going to have a Mills concept, which is a good cover 4 beater, and it's good against the Palms coverage we like to run a lot. We're showing 2-man, but will rotate into cover 1 robber. The Raiders though have Renfro on a now return route, and he runs a nasty route on Jimmy Ward for a big gain. But like I said, some of this is just really good plays made by the other guys. Here it's right before the half and Adams is just ridiculous. Mooney Ward has great coverage and Adams wins. The deal is you can't let it get to these points. It's about stopping the run, stopping the other guys, because a guy like Adams is going to make plays. And if it's not one thing, it's another. We get it to a 3rd and 12 and then get a huge face mask penalty on Fred Warner. And this leads to a huge off-schedule play. We covered this well initially, but there's a breakdown in the pass rush. Bosa talked about how they may have underestimated Stidham, and this is an example. He gets locked in on a speed rush, and Omenihu is in that plugger role. This is where Omenihu needs to understand. He's more of a spy in this role. He needs to draw the double team, then back out into a position to go get the quarterback should he try and scramble. He gets locked up, and Stidham gets out free, and then we turn into spectators on the back end. No one plasters to Adams, and he gets loose for a touchdown. But like I said, it wasn't all bad. Here, Kerry Hyder does a great job of getting his hands on this pass from Stidham, knocking it into the air, and Drake Jackson gets an interception. And there's this as well, and this was a lot in the second half. So I talked about those wide zones we didn't play well. Here, they're running a wide zone, and look at McGill play it right this time. He eats up the double team, and you have Fred Warner running free for only a 1-yard gain. This is what those runs were supposed to look like in the first half. In the second half, we did this over and over again, and we're much, much better against the run. Here, another zone run. And look at Armstead occupy the double team long enough to keep Warner clean, who goes and makes the stop. The players can do it, and did at times, and a lot in the second half. It's about consistency in execution. But if there was one guy we could say had a particularly rough game, it was Demo. I'm really hoping for a bounce back game because he just can't play like this through the playoffs. Here we're in man coverage, it's cover 1 man, and again he gets locked in on the run fake, loses his guy, and if it's a better throw, this maybe goes for an even bigger gain, but he's out of phase and gives up another chunk play. But a little later we see another problem that has reared its head a few times is the seam in cover 2. So we're trying to disguise here and we'll back out late into a Tampa 2 zone. The Raiders are running a levels concept to the 2 receiver side, and so Al-Shaair has to understand Warner has to match the deepest receiver to the 3 receiver side. So they run a seam route to clear out Warner, and now Al-Shaair has to play inside leverage on the number 2 and match him down the seam a little bit deeper. Instead, he moves out too far and never matches. He needs to carry the route deeper to get picked up by Gibson, and Lenoir is supposed to match the in-breaking route. Instead, they get the basic route wide open for a big gain, and the Raiders score a field goal on the drive. But again, you can't let these issues be things that give points to the other team when they have a guy like Davante Adams. Here we're in cover 4, and this is just another ridiculous play. You can say Lenoir needs to go attack this ball better. There's controversy over whether this is a catch or not, but you can't let the game come down to plays like this. Do your job versus the run, stop the other guys, and plays like this won't be enough for the other team to win. The next play, we're in Tampa 2, and like I said, Warner has to match the number 3 down the middle, and here he gets too physical for it and is called for pass interference. And we give up a touchdown to tie the game late. In the end, the defense actually played a lot better in the second half than the first. It was a couple crazy plays by Davante Adams and a big pass interference that led to 14 of the Raiders' 17 points. It was 3 plays. Other than that, I felt like there was a whole lot less bad in the second half than the first, so it shows that the defense can play a lot better than they showed and not nearly as bad as it seemed. They were able to seal the game with a pick. We're in cover 3 Mabel here, and Stidham is going for the big shot to Adams again. Some Raiders fans said that this would have been a touchdown if Stidham didn't get hit. No. When Stidham is in his windup, Gibson is rolling over to Adams, who's already well covered by Ward. Nick Bosa was just Nick Bosa and drove the tackle right into the quarterback to force the underthrown ball that sealed the game. Well, there's the defensive performance, some bad, but not as much as you'd think, especially from the second half considering we gave up 17 points. Was it up to par? Absolutely not. Was it something I expect to see again? No. I think this was a game where they got sloppy in the first half, pressed in the second half on a few plays, but overall played better than you'd think. It could easily have been a second half where they gave up only 7 or fewer points. In the end, while it seems worrisome for the defense to give up 34 points, I don't see systemic problems that mean the defense is now extremely vulnerable. I do have some concerns about Diamador Lenoir. That will be something to watch going forward because if he proves himself to be a weak link, then opposing teams will keep coming at him. Overall, the defense still has everything it needs to be special. If you'd like to support the channel in any way, I'll have links for that below, and stay tuned as this Monday, January 9th, we'll be launching the debut episode of the Johnny Dell's Football Academy podcast at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.